The consequences of actions. Someone rightly said, deceit towards others opens all the paths to ruin. If you wrong someone, you will also face wrong in return. At the time, we don't understand this, but eventually, the consequences of our actions catch up with us. You can never escape from it. You will have to face the consequences of your actions no matter what. And how true is this saying? We will understand this through this story. When Gautama Buddha was addressing a gathering, a man asked him, "Buddha, how do the consequences of actions unfold? If the consequences of bad actions follow, then how are good actions performed?" Gautama Buddha said, "Let me tell you a story. Pay attention." Mahatma Buddha continued, "Long ago, in a village, there were two brothers named Ramu and Shyama. Shyama often felt jealous of Ramu because Ramu was inherently good-hearted, filled with compassion and respect for everyone. Shyama, on the other hand, lacked compassion for others. He always disrespected others and caused harm. Years passed. Ramu and Shyama's parents passed away. Ramu performed their last rites with great honor. He invited the villagers for a feast and donated to the Brahmins to bid farewell to his parents' souls. Every year on their parents' death anniversary, Ramu hosted a feast for the Brahmins and gave donations. Shyama disliked all these acts of Ramu and continued to resent him. Once, on their parents' death anniversary, Ramu invited the king of their kingdom with great honor and served meals to the Brahmins and the entire village. He also made donations to the Brahmins so that his parents' souls could rest in peace. Upon seeing all this, the king asked Shyama, "Your brother does so much for your parents. Why don't you do anything for them? Don't you understand that you can also do something for your parents?" Shyama remained silent and left without saying anything. He was filled with anger because the king had insulted him, and he was thinking about revenge against Ramu. The next day, he started plotting. He began to shout loudly in front of the villagers, claiming that his parents appeared in his dream, expressing displeasure because no one had prepared food for them. They would only be happy if Ramu cooked for them. "You should send Ramu to me," he told the villagers. The king said, "This is a good thing, but Ramu will have to die for this." Ramu understood that all this was just a trap to ensnare him, but he still said, "Okay, let me do this service." And he started preparing for his death. He said to the king, "Your Majesty, arrange a boat for me by the riverside tomorrow. I will jump into the river and sacrifice my life. Then, I will go to heaven to serve my parents." The king said, "All right, all arrangements will be made for you tomorrow." Ramu jumped into the river the next day, and the villagers realized that Ramu was no longer alive. He had gone to heaven to serve his parents. Shyama was very happy that his only brother was no longer in the world. All the land now belonged to him, and he became the sole owner of everything. Days passed, and one day, suddenly, Ramu was found sitting outside the king's court, crying loudly. The soldiers took him to the court and asked, "How did this miracle happen? How are you alive?" Ramu explained, "I went to heaven. I saw that my parents were still not happy. They were angry with me and said that I don't even know how to cook food. Shyamamu is better than me. Who can cook for them? Go and send him." The king called Shyamamu and told him everything and said, "Your brother has done so much for your parents. Now it's your turn. Can't you do anything for them?" Although Shyamamu did not want to, he had to do all this. The next day, all arrangements were made again. Shyamamu returned home, thinking, "I won't go there tomorrow. I'll leave the city." Ramu told the king everything truthfully. In fact, he had saved his life earlier by talking to the fisherman and had stayed away from the city for a month before returning at the right time. He did all this just to teach Shyamamu a lesson. While Shyamamu was planning to leave the city, soldiers spotted him and tried to stop him, but a fight broke out between Shyamamu and the soldiers. In anger, Shyamamu hit a soldier on the head with a stone, causing his death. When the king learned about all this, he was about to punish Shyamamu severely. The next morning, Shyamamu was sentenced to be pushed off the boat and killed. At that moment, he realized his mistake. Even at the end of life, he had only done wrong to people. He also regretted his actions at the last moment of his life. But, as the saying goes, what's the use of regret when the bird has already eaten the crop? At the end of the story, Gautama Buddha explains to that person, "This is the consequence of actions." A wicked person doesn't recognize right from wrong until the very end. Life isn't just about living. It's something everyone should understand. Then Mahatma Buddha said, "Before making good deeds, we need to pay attention to the first step of becoming good deeds. All actions performed by humans are based on their thoughts. Our positive or negative thoughts give birth to actions, and those thoughts create actions. In this way, positive thinking can lead to the creation of good deeds." Then the person asked, "When do the consequences of bad deeds come?" Then Mahatma Buddha said, "The consequences of bad deeds depend on the actions performed. If you wrong someone, you will also face wrong in return. When you do good for others and expect good in return, it also happens with you. When you do wrong to someone and think that nothing wrong will happen to you, it may be that nothing bad happens to you at that time, but sooner or later, you have to pay the price for it. Therefore, you have no right to do wrong to anyone because the consequences of actions come sooner or later." The moral of this story is that the consequences of our actions catch up with us eventually. We cannot escape from them. So always be aware of your actions and make good choices in life.